In a Manhattan ballroom washed in chandelier light, Nora Mercer saw her best friend holding her son's hand on a stage. Then she saw the envelope in Vivian's hand, and the attorney's seal on the front. "For August's safety, I think everyone deserves honesty," Vivian said. Nora moved through the crowd as donors turned to stare. August looked at the floor. Grant stood beside him wearing the polished face he saved for cameras and funerals. "Grant and I made a temporary decision this afternoon," Vivian said gently. "Until Nora gets help, August will stay with us." Nora watched her son flinch when Grant touched his shoulder. Then Grant gave the final blow, quiet and reasonable. "Please don't make a scene, Nora." The room went still. That was when Nora understood the real cruelty. They had not only betrayed her. They had staged the audience for it. 3 months before the gala, Nora Mercer knew old money rewarded beauty, tolerated intelligence, and feared a woman who could count. So she counted everything: board votes, seating charts, silent insults, and the way Grant corrected her in public but ignored her in private. Most of all, she counted August. His headaches, his school schedule, the exact minute after school when his face softened and he felt like a child again. Their routine was sacred. Mint tea for her. Hot chocolate for him. 15 quiet minutes with no phones. Then one question: what was true today? When August asked if Vivian could come Saturday to teach him chess, Nora said yes. Vivian had been her closest friend since college, all polish and perfect manners, the kind of woman who made judgment look maternal. Once Grant named her August's godmother, she became constant in their lives. At first Nora called it support. Later she understood it was access. The first warning was small: a file moved in Grant's study, a strange password prompt, her medication disappearing too fast. Then August repeated a line no child should know. "Dad says you get confused when you're tired." Nora smiled because he was watching her. Later, alone, she wrote it down in her notebook, with the date and time. "Someone is building a version of me I do not recognize." The campaign against Nora never looked like violence. It looked like concern, which made it harder to fight. At school pickup, the receptionist asked for identification. Then the headmaster offered family stress resources. At home, Grant told her to rest. At dinner, Vivian touched Nora's wrist and asked, in front of guests, if she was sleeping badly again. "You're forgetting things, Nora," Grant said. "Let us help you." "Let us." "Not me. Them." One rainy afternoon Nora reached the school late and found August already in Vivian's car. Vivian smiled as if she had rescued him. "I couldn't leave him waiting," she said. "You seemed overwhelmed." Nora drove home and sat in the garage, replaying every small exchange. None of it was enough by itself. That was the genius of it. That night she searched the medicine cabinet and found tablets she didn't recognize. White. Round. Unmarked. She stopped swallowing anything she hadn't opened herself. She photographed labels and called the pharmacy from the guest bath with the faucet running. That refill was collected by an authorized secondary contact, the pharmacist said. Nora already knew the name would be Vivian. What she didn't expect was the dosage change, filed by a physician's assistant 2 weeks earlier. Nora had never asked for that. When she hung up, she wrote in her notebook, "Not unstable. Managed." That difference might save her life, and her son. By the time Nora reached the stage, the decision had already been staged as mercy. Grant's attorney stood near the floral wall. The family pediatrician, invited as a donor, hovered by the side stairs. Nora looked at August first. Always him first. His cuff was crooked. His eyes were wet. Someone had coached him not to cry in public and someone else had buttoned him too fast. "August. Come here," she said, controlling her breath. He did not move. Grant bent slightly, just enough to look managerial. "Buddy, tell your mother what you told Dr. Klein," he said softly into the microphone. Sometimes she sleeps all day," August said shakily. "And she forgets if I ate." The lie was built from scraps of truth. Nora had slept through 2 afternoons after the strange pills. Once, in winter, she had forgotten his lunch because Grant changed the schedule without telling her. They had stitched the weak places together and called it evidence. No one is blaming you, Nora, Vivian said tenderly. We only want what is safest for him. Temporary guardianship papers were already signed, filed, and named around maternal instability. Nora watched donor eyes slide over the page as if legality proved morality. Then August looked up once, and his expression was apology, not accusation. That nearly destroyed her. Nora left through the service corridor because humiliation always exits through the back. In the kitchen, under the hard white light, she finally let her hands shake. Then Marisol appeared, 9 years invisible and suddenly essential, holding an envelope and a small navy ring box. Inside the envelope were pharmacy receipts signed by Vivian, driver logs for unscheduled visits to Dr. Klein, and a trust amendment saying Grant would control August's inheritance if Nora were declared unstable. In the margin, Vivian had written, temporary first, permanent later. Then Nora opened the ring box and found August's silver night cuff link, bent at the post, with a yellow note tucked beneath it, practice with him in the car before stage. Left cuff crooked, but no one will notice. The casualness of it was obscene. Then Marisol showed her a cheap spare phone with a voice memo. Grant's voice. Vivian's laugh. Once the board sees she's not well, it becomes administrative, Grant said. And August already repeats what I practiced with him, Vivian replied. Proof could be argued, but the cuff link tied everything together. Marisol added one last detail. They had sent August to the penthouse on 72nd. Nora didn't cry. She went cold. When she looked up, fear had hardened into purpose. Nora didn't call Grant. She called the one person who valued scandal less than liability, Mercer Foundation Board Chair Evelyn Dane, Grant's aunt. She sent 4 images and the recording, then typed one line, if this reaches press before the board, the foundation dies with your name on it. Evelyn answered in under a minute. Morning meeting. Full board. No spouses. Bring originals. Then Nora went to the penthouse using the emergency key Grant had forgotten. Inside, she found August asleep on a guest sofa, jacket still on, one sock half off. Vivian's heels waited by the bar like teeth. When August woke and whispered Mom, Nora nearly broke. She knelt. You are not in trouble, she said. Adults lied. You tell the truth now, and I will handle the rest. He cried with the relief of a child who'd been holding up an adult's crime. He told her Vivian practiced his lines, told him mothers sometimes needed help, and told him if he loved Nora he had to say it exactly right. Then he noticed the cuff link and said Vivian had snapped it while straightening his sleeve before the stage. Nora wrapped him in a blanket, photographed everything, and left before dawn without confronting Vivian. By sunrise, her son was beside her, the originals were in her bag, and her plan was ready. The boardroom sat 30 floors above Park Avenue, all glass and pale oak and legacy. Grant entered confident, still wearing last night's righteousness. Vivian arrived in cream cashmere, as if custody were just another meeting she intended to win. Then they saw August seated beside Nora, and for the first time, both of them misstepped. Sit, Evelyn said. We are recording this session. Nora laid out the papers one by one, pharmacy receipts, driver logs, the trust draft, the board packet from Dr. Klein, the ring box, the sticky note, and the phone. You called me unstable, Nora said. You drugged the story first. The recording played. Once the board sees she's not well, it becomes administrative, Grant said. And August already repeats what I practiced with him, Vivian laughed. Then silence hit the room. Grant wasn't guilty yet. He was calculating and failing. Evelyn slid the bent cuff link across the table. Would you like to explain this note, Miss Cross? She asked. Vivian didn't answer fast enough. That was enough. Then August, trembling but clear, said, She told me to lie. Dad said it was temporary. He said Mom would thank him later. Grant tried to manage the optics. Nora put a hand over August's wrist and stopped him cold. Evelyn ended it, counsel, suspension, security, reports, custody back to Nora. In less than 3 minutes, the room changed its mind. Not fragile wife. Not unstable mother. Witness. Believed. By evening, the story hadn't reached the tabloids. Evelyn buried it in legal fire and polished language. Grant moved into the Fifth Avenue apartment under supervision. Vivian's name vanished from 3 boards before sunset. In those circles, exile rarely screams. It just stops being invited. Staff moved more quietly that night, as if the house understood a correction had taken place. The air smelled like rain and extinguished candles instead of perfume and panic. August sat curled in Nora's library chair, tie gone, socks on, a child again by degrees. They played one slow game of chess by the window. Halfway through, he pushed a knight forward and asked, "Are you still mad at me?" Nora's throat tightened. That was the sting beneath victory. Not the marriage. Not the money. Not even the public humiliation. This betrayal had gotten inside her son before he was old enough to name it. Recovery would not come from one boardroom victory. It would come slowly, in routine, language, and trust rebuilt over ordinary days. "No," she said softly. "But we are going to learn the difference between love and pressure." He nodded like a child accepting rules in a country he never meant to enter. Later, after he slept, Nora placed 2 final items in her notebook, Vivian's unsigned place card and the bent silver night cuff link. One for what was done in public. One for what was planned in private. Then she wrote, "They wanted witnesses. So did I."